What's going on, y'all? So listen. What's going on, y'all? So we're back. We are back with another season of the Braxtons, and yeah. After looking at this first episode, I feel like it may be promising. Okay, slightly promising. Because well, at least I hope so. It looks like they're going to try to get back to the funness that we came to know the Braxtons for, right? Um, Hopefully they'll be able to get back to the essence of themselves, because when the Braxtons season 1, as we all saw, that was very, very heavy. That was kind of toxic. And it just felt, we just gotta be real, felt exploitative. But I hope they're able to move past, and it's clearly seen that they're trying to move past and get back to them, which is needed. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to just keep giving this heaviness. So when the episode starts off, right, it starts off with that clip that been on the blogs and everybody been seeing since probably the last couple of weeks or whatever. And it was when Tony and Tamar and Trina were sitting at the table. Tony, Trina, and Tawanda were sitting at the table. And then Tamar shows up. And then once she shows up, we start talking about they start talking about how either Tamar didn't want to film or some shit like that. And she was like, why I don't want to film and all this stuff. Woo. Then they get into this back and forth about, Ashley, the niece, coming onto the show, or at least going on Tamar's podcast to say her story and to reveal her truth in more depth. And then how Tamar basically felt like the sisters was blocking her. And then she accuses the sisters of basically trying to shut down her businesses. I don't know what businesses those are, but okay. And, she said she was given a cease and desist. And Trina made it a point to just say, bitch, that was not me, okay? Do I feel like the sisters had anything to do with the cease and desist? Absolutely not. They didn't have anything to do with it, and I'm going to tell you why. And for those that have not been keeping up, the only reason why I know a lot of this stuff that has been going on, not necessarily with the sisters, but mostly with this Ashley situation, is because just like everybody else, at the time I saw the video and it popped up on my For You page. That was the first, I saw all of this, just so happened to be scrolling on TikTok, and it randomly popped up on my For You page. I have forgot all about Ashley, okay? If you've been here from jump, and I'm talking about season 1 of the Braxton Family Values, you knew about Ashley and probably some other family members as well, right? That we don't necessarily see anymore on the show. I had no idea that she wasn't in the States. I didn't keep up, or keep up with her, anything like that. Truth be told, if you was around back then, bitch, I ain't really with her like that. It was some misunderstanding shit that happened, and it wasn't because of her. It was because of somebody that was working with Tony. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, it was one of them. It's neither here nor there. But baby, if you was around back then, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But she ain't really do nothing to me, so it was all cool. But at the end of the day, I had forgot about her. Like, I just thought she was doing good, wasn't thinking about her, and then all of a sudden, this video pops up on my For You page, and next thing I know, it's everywhere because it was salacious in a sense. And I'm going to say salacious because of the simple fact that when you think of the Braxtons, you don't think of these subjects coming up because of the image that they put out. When we was watching Braxton Family Values, we didn't realize that they had as many problems that they had until probably like later on into the seasons. Even when the first season came on, the second season, they was keeping it kind of cute for the most part. They didn't get too deep. Yeah, they talked about Trina's alcoholism a little bit or whatever. Tony's health problems, Tawanda and her fuck boy of a husband at the time. And then, you know, you had Trina going in the situations that she was having with her husband like that, but nothing deep to the point of possible sexual abuse or sexual assault or something like that. You know, that type of situation. We didn't see none of that, right? You never would have put the Braxtons in that category. And then things really busted open later on in the Braxton Family Values seasons when they had that sit down with Iyanla. And then it came out that, you know, Tamar was a victim of child, you know, abuse in that sexual manner back, child sexual abuse, you know, back when she was younger. And it explains a lot of it does explain a lot about how she's dealing with things, and you know, it gives a deeper level, or I should say layer, as to why she acts the way that she acts. The trying to get attention by any means necessary, doing stupid shit for any means necessary, you know, wanted to be the focus, okay? Because obviously she wasn't. So there's that. I'll give her that. You know what I'm saying? But then it's just like shit just started coming on out. Stuff coming out. This whole situation with Ashley was totally unexpected. And if you have seen my videos talking, I think I did it in a What It Is when it first came out, and I spoke on it, okay? And then I didn't speak on anything else. And I told my true feelings, and I still feel the same. I still feel like Trina was in the wrong, okay? We'll get into it. But when this situation started coming out, and Ashley was literally on these videos, and it became very, very like the topic of the day or the topic of the week because it made it to the blogs. Mind you, that particular video that made it to the blogs and that was brought to my attention, it had already been made. Didn't even know that it was already out. And she had already posted that probably like, I don't know if it was weeks before or even months before, right? And somehow it just all of a sudden gained traction when it did. And then it got on the blogs and it just had people talking. It had people turning on Trina and everything. And I ain't gonna lie, it did not leave a good taste in my mouth, because one thing about it, after listening to what Ashley said, I believe her. Because at this point, what do you got to lie about? And what further make me believe her is the response from what her dad did. Okay? Now, I'm not finna mention his name. I'm not finna go into what she said happened. You got to look at, because ain't nobody finna hit me with no cease and desist or whatever. Because when we see the opening, you just got to look it up on YouTube. I'm pretty sure the videos are all on YouTube or whatever. Just type in Ashley Braxton, and it's ASHLEE Braxton. Okay? And recently, some of her videos been popping up too, talking about the situation, because the show has been coming back, and it was some controversy about one particular scene that we just saw in the opening of the episode, right? But not this one. Tamar gets in her feelings and said that they tried to shut down her businesses, and said that, you know, she was sent to cease and desist. Again, don't think that the sisters did it. 9 out of 10, their brother did it. I say this because the brother also, or I don't want to say also, the brother sent Ashley a cease and desist as well. She said in a video that the brother sent her a cease and desist. And this came out after Tamar had said she's going to have her on her platform to do and to talk about her story. And that further tells me, when you sending a cease and desist to your own child who is literally putting her story out there as a way, and I'm one of the ones that do not look at Ashley as she's trying to get attention. She's trying to get clout or anything like that, because who the fuck would do some shit like that off of some, you know, childhood abuse or some shit like that, and toxicity in the family and all that or whatever, especially when you've been quiet all this time and you've been living your life over there. This is part of her healing. That's how I look at it. This is part of her healing, and that's what she keeps on saying. She's not trying to be anything else. You know what I'm saying? And I do 100% believe her on that. And I believe everything that she was saying. I believe everything that she was saying. And what made me even more believe it and confirmed it even more, when she said that that man sent her a cease and desist, she can't say his name or anything. So that's probably why the podcast didn't come out. Mind you, I didn't even know Tamar had a podcast. Okay, I didn't even know she had a podcast or whatever. So, hey, it is what it is. But when I found out that she was going to put her on her platform and let her speak her truth to a wider audience, I wasn't mad at that. I wasn't mad at that. Did I know that it was going to be around the time that it was going to be on the TV show? No. I didn't know it was going to be part of the TV show and that'd be a crux of it. But, and again, for a lot of people or for a few people, I don't know, putting it on the TV show after we just got through looking at season 1 and we saw how it went from being about Tracy's son and now it's about, their brother's daughter. And it does look a little bit kind of like, so y'all can't come up with nothing without using kids or the other family members in it or whatever. What are you gaining out of this or whatever, And then when it comes to Tamar, it's like, are you really doing this because you went through it and you're trying to give her a place and a way to speak her truth on a broader scale? Because, like you said, according to her, that she tried to tell people in her family and nobody believed her, nobody listened to her. And 9 out of 10, she's telling the truth on that. I ain't even gonna hold you. And so I can understand if people probably look at it and be like, what really is your motive? But when I first heard it, that she was going to allow this girl to come through and to, speak her truth, I was okay with it. Actually, I'm still kind of okay with it because it's like sometimes just getting it out there and you just really don't know who you can affect. Okay. And after hearing the story, that shit was it was messed up. Baby, it was so messed up because that shit got deep as fuck. Okay. It got deep as hell. And when I'm telling y'all, when I was looking at it, I was just like, whoa. Okay. And so to see that scene and Tony getting upset, because Tamar said, you said that you wanted to bring her onto the show. I said that I wanted to bring Ashley on the show. I said I wanted to bring Ashley on the show. Now, Tony, it ain't really looking good right about now because it's looking like y'all got some stuff that y'all hadn't back. Okay. Cause then I can be fair, bitch. It just didn't look right. I need to get the full context, but from that, it did not look right. It looked like you didn't really want her to do the show, or you did want her to do the show, or something happened. But then you didn't want her to do Tamar podcast. She said, bitch, I said your podcast was a chitlin circuit. The jury is still out because I need the context. But from that alone, Tony, it looks suspicious, okay? It looks suspicious, right? And then that's when they get into it, like they about to fight and all that stuff. Then it goes 3 weeks earlier, right? I said, oh, this shit happened in 3 weeks? In 3 weeks? So in 3 weeks, the 3 weeks earlier, everybody is doing their own thing, okay? We see that Ashley has come into town. Tamar flew her from Europe because she's living out there in Spain. Ashley put in a recent video that she has removed herself from the family. Okay. Nobody really said, I don't want to fuck with you at this moment or whatever. She took herself out the family way and she moved to Spain and she's been over there and she doesn't think that she'll ever come back. Okay. So that's just to clear some things up. They didn't say, bitch, I don't want to talk to you or whatever and all that stuff. She, or kick her out and all that stuff. She moved to Spain herself. Okay. And sometimes if you feel like you got to get away from a toxic situation, you got to leave, you just do that. Okay. And that's what she felt like she had to do. So Tamar and her is having a little conversation about, her coming onto the podcast, her telling her story and all of that stuff. So basically Tamar is being there for her. Tamar is so goddamn extra with all that shit, and I know that's going to cause people to just be like, are you being for real? Or, questioning what her real motives are, you know what I'm saying? But that's just how, even a person that's not even on the good terms with Tamar, I can tell you that's literally just how she is. She's just real animated like that. So I don't think it's too much to look into it, but I do feel like, yeah, honestly, I just feel like every person who has ever suffered abuse of any kind, if they are willing and they want to get their story out there, no matter when it happened, how long it's been since it happened, I feel like they should be able to do so without judgment. I feel like they should be able to do so without judgment. That's just how I feel. You know what I'm saying? Too many victims be told to be quiet. You know what I'm saying? And they hold on to that and they internalize that trauma and that hurt, and they can't move past it, and it affects them so much in their life, and a lot of times it affects them very negative. So yeah, if you need to tell it and that be a part of your healing, let them speak. Let them say that. Let them put it out to the world if they want to, and don't judge, okay? We got that. And she said, girl, it's a whole bunch of shit. People gonna be surprised and all of that stuff. I said, damn, Ashley, is it more? Because I don't know how much more surprise I can get after hearing the first part. Bitch, it was a lot. It was a lot, from the daddy to the stepmama, colorism, possible racism and all that shit. Girl, it was so much. Then they started talking about how, the daughter, her sister, Lauren, passed away. And, how things just really been off and she been dealing with that or whatever. She necessarily didn't talk about that, but they brought it up in the confessional, and then they actually brought up a article. Okay, they brought up an article, and it said that she passed away from heart disease, right? She had some heart issues or something like that. Ashley recently put one of the recent videos that I just seen of Ashley that popped up again, because the season was coming up, and that's just what it was. She basically was saying that's not what she passed away from. And she don't know where people got that from. She said she passed away from drug use. Like, probably had an overdose or some shit like that. And she feels guilty about it because they were not necessarily on the best of terms, and she didn't get to speak to her before she passed away. She wasn't really technically there for her before she passed away. And so she got to deal with that as well. I feel so bad for her and all of that she has been holding on to, right? So no, I'm not going to be upset that she wants to tell her story. No, I'm not going to be upset that she comes on a platform like this to tell her story, because listen, ain't no telling what was going on. You see the daddy trying to give her the cease and desist? Like, girl, what? Trying to shut her up. And like I said, all these family secrets need to get the fuck up out and stop being family secrets, okay? So you could break that cycle, right? So then we see Trina. She's over there at her house. Tawanda comes over. Tawanda's just in this very much. She's so happy because she's about to get married. Keep on telling people, I'm engaged, I'm getting married and all this stuff. That was cute or whatever. But then, and y'all know Tawanda is my girl. Tawanda try to be the peacemaker, be neutral sometimes, okay? But in this moment, I was just looking like, what? Because if y'all saw when all of this came out and people was figuring out who was the aunt that did all of this stuff that Ashley accused, was talking about or whatever, basically saying that one of their husband was being very much inappropriate with her, sending her sexual text messages and things of that such. And she wound up, and her father wound up, they told the aunt, confronted them and all that stuff. And at first, she was like, I'm here for you, whatever, but then flipped. And people were trying to figure out, was it Gabe or whoever else? And the only person, a reasonable person that made sense was Gabe. Somebody commented that, and she liked the comment. That's how people realized who it was, who the aunt was, okay, that was doing this. And I was just like, oh, that put a nasty taste in my mouth, right? That put a nasty taste in my mouth because this is a child. I don't give a fuck how old you think she was a child. I think she was like 15, 16 years old when all this stuff was going on, right? And your husband at the time is out here sending sexual shit to a child, okay? Because that's what it is. Let's call it what it is. I don't give a fuck if she was a teenager. She was a fucking child. And he had no business sending that shit to her. You say, okay, I'm not going to blame you, but then you turn around and blame. That's basically what Ashley was saying, okay? That's why the people turned on Trina and was calling her out. And I was so disgusted by the whole thing because it's like, so y'all get up on this camera and y'all act like everything is cool, but then, you know that shit ain't. And it's like, did the sisters talk to Trina about it? But y'all cool as shit. So y'all okay with all this stuff going on? Y'all okay? Family fucking secrets, okay? And that just made me side-eye a lot of shit. side eye a lot of shit. So Trina's sitting there, and I think Tawanda had asked, "How do you feel about everything that's coming out, everything that's being said, or whatever?" And her whole thing is like, people, finding out that the family business is being put out, finding out that there was an issue or whatever from social media, and then having to deal with strangers on social media coming through and saying stuff about you, and making you seem like a bad person and all this stuff. It was almost like she was in denial. Okay, that's what it was giving. It wasn't giving that I'm acknowledging what she's saying, and I can understand that, yes, I played the wrong role in this, and I could see how she felt that way and felt like I turned away or whatever. And she basically was trying to make it seem like, no, that's not what happened. Like, Ashley's versions of things wasn't what happened. Like, she was always there, and she had the door open for her, and she the one that changed her phone number. My phone number never changed. You could have called me. You changed your phone number. You changed your location. And it felt kind of victim blaming. I'm not going to hold you. That's what it was. And Tawana was just sitting there like, yeah, I mean, I understand, and blah, blah, blah. She wasn't necessarily saying, oh, you're wrong for this or whatever. It was just like trying to soothe the situation and make it. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it because it's like, what? And you up here crying and shit because people got on your ass? Trina. All right. Moving on from that, you got Tony. You got Tony. She's still doing her residency with Cedric the Entertainer and The Laugh, Live, Love, and that's been extended to 2026. She's going into this producer woman for some TV stuff or whatever, because she's want to do some TV shows and shit like that. And pitching and all that stuff. That's fine. The only thing that I learned out of that whole scene was she was paying alimony. Bitch, you had to pay Carrie alimony with all the shit that you was going through. Carrie. God damn. You know what? Now that she married, she still got to pay alimony. Because y'all know she with Birdman. I still don't understand it. I don't understand it. You saw how I did that? That's how he would have did that too, bitch. Okay? Because he'll fall asleep or he'll just freeze up in the middle of sentences these days. I need to get that check. Get that check, baby. So you got that going on with them. That was cute or whatever. Meanwhile, what else is happening? Trina had sat down with Mama E. Now, I just want to say, I don't like to talk about nobody mamas. Mama E either got some dentures in her mouth or she got some veneers and they too big. That's all I got to say about that. That's all I got to say. I was like, what is going on? That's what was going on. Okay. But yeah, they having a conversation once again, talking about Tawanda. She's about to have her bachelorette party going down to Mexico, actually, Tulum. And, wanting all of the sisters to come there, wanting Trina to show up a little bit early to help her out, talking about how she's just a Virgo. She want everything perfection. Okay. She's like micromanaging and all that stuff. Okay, cool. Then they get into the conversation of, Mama, you ever think about getting married again? Do you miss being married? No. This is the same conversation that we have with Mama E all the time. Okay. But hey, it is what it is. Everybody is excited. Everybody is happy for the most part. It's light so far. Even though we got that little scene at the beginning, which is drawing people in because we want to know what the fuck happened. That got Tony snapping, and then at one point got Trina snapping on Tamar. It's like, what the fuck is going on? But from what I'm seeing right now, things are light. Things are cool. We see Tawanda. She's acting and directing shows and things of that such, and doing what she can. Moving on from that. What else is going on? Tamar wound up going to the doctor to go to one of these little health clinics or whatever to go get a liquid BBL. She said she was gonna go on tour. I ain't know she went on tour. I don't be knowing shit when it comes to her. I ain't know she went on tour, but she was going on some tour with somebody. What's his name? October London. Okay, I gotta look that up and see what was that. But I probably heard his music on TikTok, but I never ventured out and be like, you know what? Let me go ahead and listen to his music. Should I listen to his music? Put it down in the comments. Do y'all like him? Do y'all think I would like him? Because y'all know I love me some R&B, especially if it's like the old school type of vibe, or I just stay singing. That's what I need, you know? Is he a good artist? That's just all that I need to know. Moving on from that, she do the BBL. She's basically saying she needs to look good. Okay, she had recently got a boob job, and she's like, I can't have all these titties and no ass. Never had an ass. So then I will say this scene actually was funny. I ain't even gonna hold you. It was funny because you probably would have freaked the fuck out if you saw all them needles on the table too. You don't even have to be scared of needles, but to see that amount, and they was big with the white substances in there, and that's supposed to be going into your body and all that shit. And it's like, girl, what? Them trying to hop up out of there and sneak up out of there, but she left her purse. But then she was like, you know what? These people been good to me this whole time. You know, I had some other things done. I can't play them like that. Let me go up in here and do this shit. You know, I just feel like she did that shit for comic relief and all that stuff. Probably to calm her nerves. Give her some little laughing gas and all that stuff to try to, you know, calm her down a little bit. But it really didn't work. Then I guess the boob job is still kind of fresh because she couldn't even lay on her stomach right, and she was in pain a little bit because it hurt and she had to be on her stomach so that they could pull her ass up. And I was just like, God damn. It felt very midlife crisis-ish, but you know, hey, you do what you got to do to make you feel good. No judgment here. After I just said that, but it really is no judgment. But let me look that up. What is a liquid BBL? A non-surgical buttocks enhancement procedure that uses dermal fillers, the sculpture, and radices, I don't know what the fuck that is, to add volume, lift, and shape the buttocks without the need for surgery or fat transfer or downtime. The lady said you can't sit on your ass for at least 2 weeks, though. Bitch, let me tell you something. Y'all go through a lot. Y'all go through a lot for the girls that be out here, the girls and the guys that be out here getting BBLs, and I'm talking about the surgical BBLs. After seeing how they do that shit, mostly, not necessarily how they do this shit, because we already know they take the fat from your body, put it in your ass, okay? And it's just like liposuction. They be taking that shit out, and then they put it back up in the ass. That shit is dangerous as fuck anyway, because they say that's like one of the most dangerous surgeries because, you know, it's a whole bunch of nerve endings and shit, and veins and vessels and all that shit up in your ass, and you hit the wrong one and put the shit the wrong place. Oh, you could just... It's just a lot. That's why when they be doing them illegal butt injections and shit, y'all look at Beauty and Black. Motherfuckers really be dying up in there because they be doing shit that they don't know, and they be putting it in the wrong place, and then it gets in the blood system, and it's just go haywire, right? Bitch, the bloodstream. Bitch, to see the recovery. I'm fine with how they do it. Okay, we now seen the liposuction been done. Okay, that ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? But to see the recovery, and the ones that get like the 360 lipo and the 360 body makeover and all that stuff, and you get all these surgeries at once. This one girl literally just came up on my FYP, and she got her something done with her face because she had the thing on her face. She had something done with her arms. She had got boobs done, I think, at one point. I don't know if she got the boobs done, but I know she had the faja on. She had got her the Brazilian butt lift as well. All of that. Mama could barely walk. Okay, looking like a fucking Michelin man, with Michelin man ass mummy, cause she was bandaged up, and then just the blood and all the stuff that was seeping through the bandages. And she was like, day 2 or this day, no pain. I feel better. But you're just leaking. You're leaking everywhere. Oh my God. Then you got to keep up with the massages and stuff so that the shit can stay in place and form the way that it needs to form. Bitch, the way that they be coming from Miami or wherever they go to get the shit, and they be sitting on the floor on their knees on the goddamn plane or laying on their chair. Oh my God. Laying in the back of the truck or on the back seat or whatever, and you gotta lay on your stomach because you can't sit on your ass yet. Bitch, how the fuck do you sit down to take a shit? Oh my God, I know I would be so backed up. See, I'm scared to do shit like that because I think so much about stuff like that. First of all, bitch, let me just... Y'all strong as shit to do that. And for those that go back and get a second one, I'm a little bitch. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm a little bitch. I can't do it. I cannot do it, bitch. I was on my ass when I went to go get this cyst on my ankle that I had a few years ago. I had to get that removed. Oh girl, it was hell. It was hell because, you know, I the pain, bitch, when that anesthesia went off, girl, I was doped up. I didn't want to do shit. When I fractured my leg, I didn't want to do shit. Okay? When I had got my gallbladder removed, baby, I didn't want to do shit, even though I wasn't even in there. Surprisingly, I wasn't really in pain for that. I could have went to work probably 2 days later. But they want you to be down for like a week before you go back. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh my God, no. Baby, no, y'all just go through a lot. So yeah, get the liquid, bitch. Get the liquid. At least they ain't got to cut you open. They just shoot you up, okay? That's just really what it is, okay? Oh my God. But yeah, so you got that going on. Then finally it's time for my liquid BBL was safe and I still regret it. What? It's like fillers for your ass. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right, cool. But, you know, it's time for her podcast, and this is the first time that she does a live podcast or whatever. And so you had Ashley there, and of course, it's cut off when they get ready to go on the stage, and she's on the stage, and she was like, you know, no more family secrets, and we shouldn't have family secrets and all that shit or some shit, which I do agree. And then that was the end of the episode. Girl, it's in a preview or whatever. You know, I gotta be a little shady. Because if you look, and they do go and they look through the previews and stuff or whatever, especially when it comes to Tawanda, she was getting ready. And then they do a preview that something happens. Somebody ends up in the emergency room. That's going to be Tawanda. I don't want to tell. Let me shut up. I'll wait till we get there. Because I want to say something so bad concerning some bullshit that happened prior to this show coming on. Well, y'all already know what I'm talking about. Because that's what your fucking nose look like when you fracture it. And that's all I'ma fucking say. Y'all enjoy it. I did like this first episode. It was cute. It wasn't too heavy. It was decent. I liked it for the most part. Hopefully it stays light like this. It tackles the subjects that need to be tackled, but it still stay kind of light. But you guys, tell me how you feel, and I'll see y'all later. Also, just to let you know, if you have the All Black app, you can look at the episodes probably like Thursday night. Because that's what I did. That's why it's dark outside. Well, when the episode comes on tomorrow, it's going to be dark anyway. But no, if you want to look at it on Thursday night or whatever, because I just so randomly looked at the app and it was up at 10 o'clock my time, Thursday, you know, because usually the episode's coming on Friday. So just to let y'all know, just in case y'all feel like you're going to miss it or, you know, you need to find it, it's on the All Black app. It always come out the night before. But yeah, you guys enjoy yourself. Let's have some fun with this. Not be so serious. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.